Hello, I'm Paul.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Ben.
And welcome to the Film Busters podcast. The film show with no filters, no prisoners taken, loads of disagreements, but one hell of a love for cinema.
If you want to hear three friends ridiculing each other for an hour or so regarding their taste in films, then you have come to the right place.
In each episode, one of the team picks a film for us to discuss. It could be anything from a recent cinema release to an all-time classic.
So, strap in and get ready to get mad or get vindicated as we guide you through the murky world of being a film geek.
If you like what you hear, you can also find us on Twitter and Instagram using @FilmbustersPod. You can also find each of our individual accounts. I'm at Filmbusters Paul.
I'm at Filmbusters Adam.
And I'm at Filmbusters Ben.
If you want to use your eyes instead of your ears, you can also visit the website at filmbusterspod.co.uk.
And if busting makes you feel good, you can also support us at patreon.com/filmbusters for exclusive content.
Or shoot over and get some groovy merchandise at society6.com/filmbusters.
Alright, can we just get on with this now, please?
Filmbusters. Right, everyone get ready for Adam to have 10 minutes of really excitement because he won in the go-karting. Didn't you, Adam?
Well, I won out of us, yes.
Yes. Are you very excited about that?
Well, I do deep down inside feel like I could have beaten everybody. But I wasn't. The circumstances and the conditions we were racing under.
I felt like I could have beaten everyone. You're a disgusting human being.
Every time I've been go-karting, I've always won.
Oh, you're gross.
You're such
Why
a liar
am I gross?
Oh.
Why?
Basically, Adam was cheating a lot during this game.
How was I cheating?
That said the pot to the kettle. Paul smashed me off the fucking track, man. T-boned me, and the wardens didn't even black flag. They specifically said you weren't allowed to do that, and he fucking T-boned me on the corners, spun me, man, and they didn't fucking stop it just because it was his stag.
Hey, people don't know what we're talking about. I went on my stag do. We went go-karting. We went paintballing. We went on a escape room. We went drinking in a off license.
Yeah, we did.
We went on a tour of London of all the spots in London that don't have a pub in.
Yes.
AKA South London.
It wasn't South London, listeners, please.
I need to reveal something. I need to reveal something on the podcast. Some intel I got that Ben doesn't know about.
Uh-oh. Is this appropriate?
So I was on my way home and I heard some information about the escape room.
You heard some information about the escape room?
I heard that when we went in, Ben, we were on two separate teams, correct? Yes. It was me and Ben on one team and Adam on another team. There was 5 of us in each group.
Yeah.
When we went in, as soon as we went in, Adam went to the people who own the place and said, "Can you show us how to solve it so we can get out quicker than they can?"
Yeah. Oh,
what a fucking cheater!
What a filthy cheat!
Yeah. I couldn't be bothered with the escape room.
And guess what? You didn't get out quicker than us.
No, he didn't, because he didn't help us. And also, I'm not being funny, we had the 2 drunkest people on our team who were fucking everything up. You know when you've got to push it at the same time? What was was it your sister's boyfriend's name? He kept pushing other random buttons and we had to restart again.
Apparently you did nothing in there, Adam.
Okay, well, very quickly.
Yes, apparently only 2 people who were actually doing something on the team.
Jamie said to me, like, why the fuck were we in there with that one? Because he did nothing after the first 5 minutes. He just stood there, and I felt like saying to him, this is what podcasting with Adam's like. Also, turns up for 5 minutes and it does fuck all.
Oh, Adam. We love you.
Well, I wouldn't say I did my bits with dominoes and stuff. I was doing other random projects beforehand.
Random projects, nothing to do with the escape room, just filling with bits.
No, I was doing like another little sequence bit. You know when you've got like 3 or 4 puzzles? I was doing one, I was letting them 2 do the other.
I'm sure you did your duty with them.
I did my duty, yes.
And all I want to say is I had a lovely time. Thank you so much for coming along. I had a wonderful stag do.
How were your bruises?
I was made to wear a cheerleading outfit during paintball, and then I was put on a team on my own. There was 10 of us in this game. Everyone was from our stag do, so we could just shoot each other as much as we want. I was put on a team on my own, and I had to run across and try and take everyone out to make them on my team. And I think I pretty much smashed it.
Did you get everyone in 60 seconds?
I didn't get everyone. I pretty much got everyone, and then Carl shot me in the back 20 times, and that's where all my marks have come from.
Oh wow!
I was like Platoon. I was Willem Dafoe.
When that happened, he also shot his own brother in the back of the head.
Yeah, Carl was just shooting everyone on his own team. Carl's my brother, everyone, and he is a mess.
A loose cannon.
I had met him once before. I think it was after Zoe's 30th. We went back to your house, if I remember correctly. He was being very antagonistic to me that night. I don't know why. He was very, very antagonistic. But then when I saw him this time, I was like, all right, this is just your general disposition to everyone all the time.
Yep.
There you go. It was a lot of fun, listeners.
It was a lot of fun. We had some great time. But anyway, shall we move on to actually what we're doing on this episode today?
Hang on, before we do that, let's do 2 shout-outs. Because you can, at the moment, find the Filmbusters spread a little thin. Because we're all over the place this month. You can't just find us on the Filmbusters podcast. Adam, very recently, as recent as yesterday, appeared in a newly released episode from the podcast When the Kid Goes Down, talking about After Hours.
Yes,
Adam
I
went
did.
solo.
Yes, I did.
You actually did a good job as well, Adam.
Did I?
Did, mate.
Say.
I listened to it this morning.
Look, I haven't listened to it yet, and I probably won't listen to it.
I said to Jenny, you will not believe how Adam was on this podcast. He sounds like a fucking, like, an absolute... He gave his best podcasting performance.
Do you know what I'm
on
going to
someone
say?
else's
Is
podcast.
they were very professional, and they came along very professional and very organised.
Mate, we are fucking professional. It's you that ain't.
And everyone was like, had their moments to talk and everything.
Man.
Like we don't give this guy moments to talk.
I know. I just don't take them.
Adam was very good. He was very
Well,
good.
he took that praise gracefully, didn't he?
Yes.
Just then.
Yes, he did.
Just slagging us off.
Yeah, very good performance. Well done. And you can also find me and Paul on the first edition of Movie Busters, i.e. on Movie Drones podcast, where we went on their podcast, didn't we, Paul?
Yes, we did. Speaking about 1993's Cliffhanger, we brought 1993 to their podcast.
Yes, it was a lot of fun.
It was a hell of a lot of fun.
We're keeping the 1993 good ship going.
Might as
We're
well.
in 98, aren't we?
No, sir.
Oh, come on now.
In
This,
what world?
see, this is the effort that he brings into this podcast.
Yeah.
I thought this film was 98.
We've never done 98. We did 97.
We're in 1993.
Oh, wow. Do you know why that is? Because I was looking yesterday about films I was going to pick. And I went on to my films from 98 and I was like, I don't remember any of these being an option before. And these options are terrible.
So you still don't know what you're picking for 93?
No.
Excellent.
Because I remember there being certain films I was like, hang on a second, I might pick that film. But they weren't there.
Well, there you go.
Well, yeah, we're doing 93. We're doing Sonatine. This is Ben's pick. But before we go on to that, we're going to do a little segue again. We're going to go talk about our Patreon. We got a Patreon at www.patreon.com/filmbusters. We get exclusive content, exclusive monthly roundups, exclusive episodes and films that our patrons suggest and stuff like that, and subjects they want us to talk about. And it's just all very lovely over there. And it's very cheap. It's very cheap.
Cheap.
Yes, cheap like a little
cheap.
bird in a nest.
Cheap.
Cheap like Tommy Wiseau sassing someone in the room.
You've become a patron, just like the likes of Jason Clarkson. He's one of our newest and freshest patrons.
Yes, he is. You also have the likes of Leak Human.
You also have Steve from Movie Drone.
You also have Katie and OT. They're Australians, and they wear those little hats with corks on them.
And they also do a podcast called
For Your Reference.
They do. And you also have Julio from the Contrarians, who's from America.
Correct. You also have Sean Panda Nicholson,
who does music.
He's a Scottish, and he's also Scottish, just like Jamie Russell, who's a teacher as well.
And next up you have Nerdtrovert, who's from Albuquerque.
He's from Albuquerque, yeah, and he's from the village of Better Call Saul.
Yes,
that's right.
Is he actually?
Well, that's where it is. Isn't it in Albuquerque?
It's a state, though, isn't it?
Maybe. Is that where his practice is? Saul Goodman?
Oh no, Albuquerque is an area, isn't it? New Mexico's. Is it New Mexico's the state? Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Maybe. I don't fucking
I don't know. I don't know nothing about these American places. It's all Greek to me, or American.
Or American.
And Fiona Stewart, the Joaquin Phoenix mega fan, is also still signed up. She's still listening, dear ones. Can you believe this?
Every episode.
To every episode, despite the fact that we slagged off the one time she signed up. Let's all whisper behind her back. The only reason she signed up is because we did an exclusive review of Come On, Come On at the London Film Festival, which was appalling. And at the time, she made it known that she didn't agree with what was said about it. Yet, she continues to pledge her support. So bless her. Well, bless her. She's not actually listening still, but she keeps giving us her money every month. So
don't tell her.
Keep it quiet. It's a secret.
We also have Philip Barantini, the wonderful director of Boiling Point. Thank you. That is all our patrons. You are absolutely wonderful. Thanks for all your support. And we love you.
Yes. We try to give you good stuff on and off the main episodes.
Oh, I hope so. Should we move ever so slightly closer to Sonatine, Ben?
Yes. Should we do a little quiz?
Let's do it.
All right, dear ones. So, as you know, I do a little quiz for these boys every week. I ask them 2 questions. If they get the question right, they get a point. If they get the question wrong, I get the point. Paul is running away with it, as he has been since the start of the year, with 14. Me and Adam are tied on 7, so we're halfway there. These could be quite tricky for both of you, so I'm hoping to make gains here. But at the same time, depending on how observant you are, and, well, there we go. Are you ready for your question, boys?
Go for it.
Yes.
I don't think you're going to get it. I need both. I need both parts of this question in order for you to get 1 point. What are the names of the 2 warring clans in Okinawa?
Oh, God.
Yeah, you're fucked.
The Japanese and the Japanese.
Is one beginning with an O?
No, the place begins with an O. Okinawa.
Oh.
I like the way you're thinking, though. You've got that.
No, I have no idea.
You want to take a stab? You get one random guess. You got to do it without being racist,
It would
though.
just be the most random word I could think of. Is it one Takeshi, one Kitano?
No. What do you say, Adam?
One Katagel, is it? That's the name that kept coming up.
That is the name of a character, but that's no. That's not.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay, the 2 clans were the Nakamatsu clan and the Anan clan.
Oh, Anan.
Nakamatsu.
I should have got that one.
Ananan. There we go.
Yeah.
So, 1 point for me. Thank you.
Well done.
Now, this one, well, you have to go a little bit further than the film to get the answer to this question. What was Takeshi Kitano's debut American film acting performance?
Ooh, that's a good question.
The only thing I can think I saw on his thing was it Ghost in the Shell?
A very good answer, Adam. It's true, but it's one of his more recent films. I'm looking for his first.
Is it well known?
At the time, it's less. People don't really talk about it, but it was big at the time. I don't necessarily think it was massive, but it's as big as some so-called big films.
I'm just gonna say Black Rain. I don't know.
Johnny Mnemonic with Keanu Reeves.
I haven't seen it.
Johnny Mnemonic.
Is that Japanese based?
I haven't seen it either. No, it's not. It's American, but he plays a character in it, and he has like. It was funded with Japanese money, and when the funders of the film arranged for Kitano to be in the film, they specifically requested that the filmmakers film about 20 additional minutes worth of footage with Kitano in it, just so they could show that to the Japanese audience. So if we watch it, he's in it for like 5 minutes, I believe, 5 or 10 minutes. But if you watch the Japan cut, he's in it for like half an hour.
I know they do that a lot just to sell tickets, and it's a big market.
Big market. Well, that was great. I got both points. See,
that's what he's angry that we beat him at everything at your stag do, Paul.
Oh shit! I'm not saying anything of the like.
I'll tell you something.
Adam.
The thing is, right? Because listeners, first and foremost, I'm the heaviest out of the 3 of us. Okay.
Yeah, that's your choice.
If we were playing Mario Kart, I would be Yoshi. He would be Bowser.
Okay. So I don't get the reference because I don't know who those people are.
You don't know who Bowser is?
He's the
big dragon with a
Yes.
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 Okay.
Big dragon.
Automatically, when you're the heaviest, you have the slowest car, right?
Yeah, like Bowser.
There we go.
That's the fact. That's it.
So there you go. That's what I'm saying.
I agree. I totally agree. I absolutely agree. That is how it rolls. Yeah.
And even despite that, I was in front of Paul, and he had to T-bone me in order to get in front.
Oh, he T-boned everybody.
Very disappointed with the marshals that they did not black flag him and take him off.
He should have been done.
Because it was accidental. It
was
on
nothing
purpose.
accidental about anything.
But do you want to know the worst thing about Paul T-boning me, listeners? It's that when he did that, not only did he get himself past, it allowed Adam to pass me. Also.
Oh no, that's even worse.
That is
and then also, Ben was trying to keep up with me and Paul, who was zooming away from him, and he got a bit too overexcited, and he spun out into a corner.
I keep up with you, and whenever you say to Adam, yeah, and I overtook you, he was like, yeah, but that was only at that bit. It's like, well, it has to be at some bit.
Yeah, under yellow flag circumstances, you never took us.
When did I overtake you under yellow flag circumstances? That's bullshit.
The only time you actually overtook me was in the first race when we all went off the grid.
No, it wasn't the first race. It was the second
time.
It was the second time. I didn't overtake you in the first set of races.
No, so I mean the second race at the very beginning when we did the racing from the grid, and the person in front of me crashed out.
No, it was when we were coming out from under that tunnel. It was then.
Never did.
Oh, mate.
None of these listeners have any concept of what you're talking
none of them
about.
care about this. All you need to know, listeners, is that I got 2 points today, and these boys didn't.
Yes.
And I respect all of your efforts.
I've got to say, this was the hardest film to come up with questions for.
I was thinking when I was watching this, I was just like, I'm getting no points this week.
I did think that as well.
I was really trying to think, like, one of the questions was going to be, what was the colour of the Frisbee? And I was like, that's just shit.
Orange.
I'm not going to do that. No, it wasn't. It was red, so there you go.
Oh,
Should've
yeah.
done it.
He's also colourblind, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're colourblind.
So I'd have got a point there for you bullying me.
There you go. Anyway, should we talk about Sonatine, please?
Yes, let's move on to Sonatine. Let's talk about the film.
Hi, I'm Quentin Tarantino, and welcome to the new Rolling Thunder video release. The film you're about to see is Beat Takashi's Sonatine, which he directed, wrote, produced, edited, and is the star of. And we were really proud to release it here in America. Actually, the film that you're about to see has played all over the world and has gotten quite a bit of acclaim in all the different festivals it played and everything. And the film is actually has made Beat Takashi one of the most exciting directors to come out of Japan in the last decade. And I think when you see the movie, you'll understand why. It's a slightly different take on the standard Yakuza film. I'm going to be here after the film is over to kind of talk about what Yakuza films are and what his are in particular, and just talk a little bit more about the man and just kick it. Anyway, in the meantime, enjoy Sonatine, and I'll see you after the movie. Okay, bye-bye.
Right, everyone, today we are doing Sonatine, 1993 Sonatine by Takeshi Kitano. This is a spoiler episode. If you haven't seen it, you might want to go watch it first, because we're going to go straight into spoilers, no hanging around.
Excellent.
That's it. Adam, do you want to go straight into a plot summary? Because I have no people who have been in a film we've done before.
Yes. So this film is about a guy who is in the Yakuza, and he gets sent away to go fight a rival gang or sort out a what do you want to call it? An argument between these people. And when he's out there, him and a couple of his friends, they decide to go off and chill on the beach and have a little holiday. And it's now the Yakuza on a stag do.
Oh, this is probably the perfect episode to do.
Yes.
It's the stag do of Yakuza films.
They're just out chilling and vibing on a beach and having fun, and he's like, do I like this life more than being in the Yakuza?
There you go.
There we go. Ben?
Here we go. I got some information.
Okay.
But I haven't really put it in a very comprehensive way, so I'll just try and talk through it. So, I only realised after watching it that this is technically the third in a kind of unofficial Takeshi Kitano trilogy. So Takeshi Kitano was actually originally known as Beat Takano. He was like a comedian in Japan, and he decided he wanted to get into films. And the first time that he acted in a film, I can't remember what it was, he was in the room with the test audience, and as soon as he came up on screen, everyone in the audience started laughing because they were conditioned to see him as a funny guy. And as he was watching the film with them, he became really annoyed because they were just laughing all the way through whenever he was popping up. So he decided he was going to completely change his public image. So he changed from Beat Takashi and became Takeshi Kitano. Takeshi Kitano was his name as a actor, and he made a trilogy of films starting with Violent Cop through Boiling Point and finishing with Sonatine. And they're all kind of thematically linked. They're not a story, they're not like a narrative that goes through, but they kind of have the same themes of like this brutal violence, very stoic imagery all the way through, and just very alternative visions of Japan. And he kind of blended all of this. So, first two films. First one, Violent Cop, wasn't received very well in Japan at all, although critically it did quite well, but it didn't make much money. Boiling Point brought a lot more success, more eyes were on him. Financially it did very well. And then came Sonatine, which Kitano directed, wrote, produced, edited, and was the star of. And Sonatine was kind of described as the film that shook up what the Yakuza film was, because the Yakuza film, we don't know much about them in the West. Some people do, but we're not typically conditioned to see these Yakuza films. But in Japan, they were huge in the 50s and 60s, particularly in the 50s and 60s, because the Yakuza would actually pay people to go and see the film as well. They would like really drum up support for people to go and see their films, because the Yakuza films were funded by the Yakuza. But then in the early 70s, things kind of changed, because women in Japanese culture actually dictated what was in cinema, because they were the ones who wanted to go to the cinema more than men, and they were taking their husbands and boyfriends and whatnot to the cinema. So the films became a little bit more conditioned to sentimental, romantic films, etc., things like that. But when so these Yakuza films all had like romance in it and sentimental things and characters that you could love and things like that. But then Takeshi Kitano came along and changed the game completely, because there'd been no harshness, no violence, none of that, and he just created this new wave of Yakuza films when he came along with the Violent Cop one through to Sonatine. And I mean, there's a lot of other stuff that I can say about it, but I might just actually include it for when we're talking about the fucking film. So I'll leave it there for now.
Cool. Well, this is your pick, Ben, so you get to choose whose first impressions you want in what order.
I think I'm going to go Adam, me, you.
Okay. Go on then.
So I didn't really know what to expect about this film. I didn't know much about it. The only person I know who'd seen it was my housemate Dan, and he just said it was quite slow paced. So I was prepared for that. I knew it was kind of the vibe of the film, and it was. But it was also, I found it incredibly quite interesting and it was quite gripping as well at the same time. You really came to kind of like these characters, actually, which I was quite surprised about for a film of this nature. So then you kind of, it raises the stakes of them as well, and you want them to do well. And you want nice things to happen for them, because it is just like, it's almost like a buddy film rather than a Japanese Yakuza film. I very much enjoyed all of that part of it. But I'm still quite unsure about exactly what I think about it. Like, I very much enjoyed it, and I had a great time watching it. But at the same time, I was like, was that it? Like, I only watched it yesterday, and I've already kind of forgotten kind of what's happened in it. Like, I can remember bits of it, but it feels like I've watched it longer than yesterday, if that makes sense. But yeah, I enjoyed the relationships that the characters build up between each other. I preferred that side of the story than when that kind of came in rather than the beginning side. I was like, this just kind of feels like a standard film. So, yeah, I don't know how else to really sum up my opinions for this. I think maybe we start talking about it and we go that way. But yeah.
Yes, I agree. It's an easier one to talk about when we talk about together, because it is a hard one to actually summarize neatly and nicely and talk about how you feel about it. When I watched it the first time, like I say, I got to the end and I was. Yeah, it was hard to properly capture my feelings about it. And that's when I found out it was this third in this trilogy. So I was like, let me just kind of get a feel for this man, these Takeshi Kitano films, so that I can get more on his pace, and then I will watch it again. So I watched it first, and then I watched it again at the end. And to be honest, I didn't feel that the other films helped me understand it more on the second watch, but I was a little bit more in tune with, okay, this guy's style of filming, which is the consistency across them all, is just very minimalist, long takes, static shots, like lack of emotion on faces, and stoicism. That's what comes up constantly with his characters, particularly just this lack of a reaction to the setting. But in the context of the other two films, this one I appreciated the most, because there is something about his character reacting, or rather not reacting, in all these violent situations that speak about what the film's actually about for me. Because for me, this film is about a man who is so, not even jaded, he is bored with the Yakuza life, but he's become so disconnected from the violent life that he lives, that when he's surrounded by it, he just operates on autopilot. It's not shocking to him. It isn't a thing. It's just a part of his life. So when they go from where they are at the beginning, when they go to intervene in this sort of gang warfare, and they end up going to the beach, when he gets to the beach, for me, it's like this is him going back to a pure time when he was a child. Like it's almost like this is the freedom that he actually wants. But because he's so ingrained in the violence of the Yakuza life, all the playful shit that he's doing with these guys, he's mixing it with violent things, like when he gets the gun out for Russian roulette, when he's firing the gun with the fireworks. Every bit of play has to have a bit of violence for him, and it goes to show how this is just in his life no matter what. And at the end, when he blows his brains out, I was surprised, but then at the same time I was like, oh, I'm not, because this guy was fucking sad. Like this complete disconnection from everything shows that he was not in that life.
He knows he can't be happy, he can't find that peace, really.
He can't be happy. Even the woman that he meets, he knows he can't run off with her into the sunset. He knows that, like, he's lived in this life. He lives by the gun. He dies by the gun. And I just thought it was very poetically beautiful. Just the way that things were shot, the way scenes played out. There was a weird humor to it as well.
It was almost like I said, maybe like a buddy kind of film.
Yeah.
Like some lads on holiday, on just watching them muck around without any real purpose to every scene that's happening, but there's so much going on at the same time.
Adam's turned this bit into the conversation bit.
I know. I'm just not saying anything.
Anyway, I'll say no more. Yeah, we'll talk about it afterwards. Go on, Paul.
I've got to go the opposite way. This movie just wasn't for me. I literally had no concept half the time of any significance of what was happening, or even if there was supposed to be any significance. And I can only describe it as a gangster movie of what happens when the action isn't happening. And on a stag do is probably quite a good summary, Adam. And I thought it was a little tedious at times. Sometimes it feeling like quite badly acted, and probably saying what you're saying, Ben, about his face being like quite unemotional through those scenes kind of makes sense. Like what you're saying, I never thought about, so it kind of makes sense, but it doesn't make me like it any more than I did. And like especially when the people like get to stand there waiting to be shot with no expression or fear or anger. I feel like it was just him. I feel like other people, when people getting shot, they were just waiting to be shot, kind of thing. It was just like, is
You're
this
talking about the bit by the boat mainly?
Like when people get not about the bit just before the boat. Do you know where they're chatting to the old man, and then suddenly they all just got shot by that man?
They got shot by the fisher.
Yeah, it's like they were just standing there waiting to be shot, and I was like, "What is this? Why are they shooting at this? Why are they acting like this?" But it felt like, I think it felt badly edited in places as well. There's so many awkward jump cuts for me, and I can say the tone's very unique, but it's so much so that I couldn't really grasp whether it was supposed to be a comedy or not. Because like the Japanese way is like so deadpan and unemotive that I didn't know how to really like take it. But as a package, I didn't really enjoy my time. to be honest. Dear. But I do respect what it's going for, and it does have like a serious air of originality about it. But I'm in no way seeking out any other Kitano films if they're anything like this.
Wow.
See, I don't think I will bother maybe watching the rest of them, but at the same time, I feel like what you didn't like about it was kind of what made it intriguing.
I can get it. From what you're saying,
get where you came from. It's like a food that if people don't like, you're like, okay, I understand why you don't like that food, but I like it.
I can understand why you would like it, but for me, it just feels a bit ponderous.
I mean,
boring.
The thing is, it's very culturally different to anything that we typically watch or cover on this podcast, for sure. Like, we're absorbing a bit of Japanese cinema from the very early 90s, which is, different time, different style. And about Yakuza, like, I certainly haven't watched a lot of films about a Yakuza, so it's our point of reference coming into this film anyway is already very distanced from all of it, right? So I take your point, and I do think that if we perhaps, people in Japan who had seen many decades of Yakuza films and like personifications of the Yakuza probably respond to it differently than
absolutely
us as a Western audience, because they're like, okay, we never really see this side, because we see some violence, but really the thing that grips me about the film, the thing that I find endearing about the film, it's very hard to put my finger on, but it's kind of how I feel after it, because I enjoy the film more after, when I'm thinking about it, than I do actually when I'm sitting through it, because I'm like, that is funny that happened, or that was kind of cool the way that was shot, and that makes sense in that thing. But when I'm watching it, it's like, we're just seeing these boys on holiday. But that's the funny thing. It's like, this is the Yakuza, this deadly, violent, terrifying gang in Hawaiian shirts on a fucking beach, just being forced to waste time.
But that's what I don't understand. Though it's like not funny. It might be funny. It might be funny in a way, like when you're thinking about it.
About it, rather than you wouldn't laugh out loud. You just kind of.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it was meant to be funny, laugh out loud funny. It was more like when I was watching it, I didn't laugh at anything. But looking back now, I'm thinking that's funny.
Do you know, I had a weird feel about it. It kind of reminded me a little bit of that Hard Ticket to Hawaii. But
I knew someone was going to say that, and that's just because there was a beach scene with a frisbee, Adam.
No. I'm just talking about these like criminal hard gangs doing stuff that's just like so mundane to them, but done in a really nice way.
That's what I liked. I liked that it was, let's take the Yakuza, these scary fuckers, and make them waste their time for the movie. I can't.
But I also don't think they were wasting time. They're having more fun and they're being more free than they ever were. But it's not a lifestyle that you escape from.
Well, yes,
and like you said as well, Ben, it was quite nice. The whole can he escape the violence? And everything, like everything they were doing involved violence. Like they were firing fireworks at each other. They were trying to shoot a frisbee.
Yes, shoot exactly. Every single bit of fun,
violence out of their minds. It's like.
It's so ingrained in their life.
Where they were playing cricket with a frisbee and a bit of wood. I was like, that's quite funny. That was quite funny.
And even the holes on the beach was kind of like, it was reminiscent of dunking that fucking guy in the water. Like that, right? So that scene where they got the guy on a crane and they dunk him into the water.
Yeah.
Very long played out scene, which is a horrible thing, but I'm not sat there chuckling, but I'm aware of the absurdity of the situation, and I'm like, this is humorous. Like, there's certain films that have a funny bone in them that aren't there to make you laugh out loud. Yeah. It's just you think on it and you go, yeah, that's funny.
I think a very key word that when we read the plot from last episode, they said, when he realises that the whole feud is insignificant.
Yes.
Right. And the reason I just couldn't get on board with this film was I was constantly thinking, okay, what is the significance of them doing this at the moment? What's the significance of that? And nothing ever, it was just random things happening. And like the whole bit with the holes, even to that, when I was at that point, I was like, so why are they making holes that people are going to fall into now? Like, what is the significance of that? because it felt like they were waiting for someone to come and they were going to let someone fall down a hole, and then they just never went back to it again. And I was like, what is that?
No, but that was it. They were just playing. They were playing.
It just felt insignificant. Everything just felt insignificant for me.
Well, it was less a film about a plot, a narrative plot with this will lead to this, will lead to this, and it was more about, it was a film like made up of moments, right? For you to afterwards look back on. I think that's what I do think. It's when you've watched it, you look back on it, and then it's like, now I know what I feel about it. But when you're watching it, you've got no idea.
I can kind of get that, yeah. From you, just kind of getting what your opinion on it is. It kind of makes sense from what you're saying, but it didn't. It's not in any way. If I went back and watched this now, I wouldn't be like, wow, I'm enjoying this so much more now.
Did you think that he was a? Did you do you find him interesting to watch in this film?
I'd say he's interesting. Yeah.
See, that's the thing. Is like he was so interesting to watch, despite the fact that, largely speaking, he revealed no emotion. And that's skill. I think that's a very hard thing, because what I get from the Japanese culture is that it is all very deadpan and like unemotive, and like that's the culture to be kind of serious. Especially with the Yakuza. And when I came into the film, like that whole first 15-20 minutes, I didn't really understand what was happening anyway, so it didn't help. So when I was getting on board, I was like, okay, so what is the plot here? And and even then, it felt like there was just these insignificant things were happening that I didn't understand. Like when that boy came in the office at the beginning, and he was like, "Why are you here? You should have been going away." And I was like, "Where did that? What is he talking about? And when did we ever see that guy ever again?"
Yeah, I don't
waiter?
care about that kind of. I don't think that stuff affected.
But I mean, there's everything just felt insignificant. And then he has a fight with a guy in the bathroom, and it's like, oh, this doesn't really matter. And then this guy gets stabbed, and it's like, oh, they're just sitting next to each other on the bus now.
I know, but okay. So, then that's the thing. You either like that or you don't. I really liked that because it goes from the guy going, fuck these kids, getting stabbed in the gut, juxtaposition a few minutes later, he's sitting next to him on a van, and the guy's going, do you want ice cream? That's humorous. I like that. I like the violence and the playful and the childishness going side by side.
Yeah,
it's like, you know.
I think it's the fact that it didn't. It maybe if it leaned a little more into the comedy side of it, I could have got it a bit more. But it just, I don't know. It was just on the edge, wasn't it? It was like that fine line of being comedic.
It was. But then, you know, that probably comes from him as he was. Like, I didn't even realise that. Did you ever watch Takeshi's Castle?
Yeah.
He was the host. He was the guy.
Really?
Yes. He's Takeshi, hence Takeshi.
Oh, yeah. Amazing.
Oh, wow.
And he was like a proper comedian over there. And that he just wanted to change that. But obviously, he's got that funny bone, right? So it's going to be at play a little bit in what he does.
Yeah,
and I do like the uncomfortable way it sits alongside a lot of these elements. Like, let me say, the thing that I found so endearing and funny and beautiful is these Yakuza men in the beach hut at night replicating the dance of the women.
Oh, right,
and the boss getting angry, going, no, you have to smile. I will join you. Let me show you how it's done. And then that is funny. I'm thinking about it now. That's funny, man. And they do it several times as well. First it's the boss doing it, and then there's underlings doing it as well. And he's like, you have to show teeth, you have to smile. Then they're doing it again. This is the Yakuza. This is funny shit. Just in a different way.
I know what you mean, yeah.
Do you know what I felt bit was really weird though? I didn't know if it was funny or just ridiculously stupid. He's on the beach when they were wrestling.
No, so I loved that.
That was like, what the hell is going on here? But it's so intriguing, so stupid, but so brilliant all at the same time.
I like the bit where they're replicating the game.
When they're jumping and they're bouncing around, yeah.
Very well edited as well, because they're not actually jumping. Like, he's cutting out frames, so you never really see their feet making them bounce. So it constantly looks like they are those characters. But see, so I was thinking I was trying to piece things together and going like, oh, well, what does that mean? What does that mean? All those beach scenes, everything is just a bit of play but tinged with violence. Like, kind of to say, like, if this beach is almost like a a respite for him. So like, okay, the film begins, he's a Yakuza, he's in the city, he wants to get out. He says he wants to retire, he's had it. So the boss sends him to this place, to an insignificant feud. Things don't work out, so they get sort of sent to the beach. The beach is like, okay, here's your blank canvas, here's where you can start again. And by the way, sorry, I should have said this. I didn't know what Sonatine meant, so I Googled it. And Sonatine is a technical term in music where after all the instruments have played what they have to play, a sonatine is where it's free for interpretation. So you can suddenly choose
like a solo almost.
Which direction you want to go. Yeah. So the beach is kind of that place where he can, like, now's your time. You want to get out. Here you are. You're at this beach. Explore. Find what you want to do and go do it. So the fact that all this play comes back, like, this is when he starts smiling again. He's smiling. He's happy because he's free. He feels stripped from it. But the violence, the way of life is so ingrained in him, he can't really get away from it. He can't. His spirit is lifted. He feels a little freer, but it's ingrained in who he is. And he hates that. Hence why he kills himself at the end, because it's too much. I like that we don't get this scene of him talking to that woman, for example, and saying, I just need to get out. This is too much for me. We get a couple of comments, like when she's saying to him, oh, you know how to handle a gun. And he's like, I'm terrified of it. Like, the only reason I'm good with a gun is because I don't want to die. I don't want them to kill me.
And he said, I'm not hard because I have to carry it around with me. I wouldn't be strong if I didn't.
Yeah, that's it. That's right. Yeah. And just him, his suicide, like, is very sad when you look back at it after everything that he's gone through, because it
he's
is like
staring there looking at her.
It's the only time we see some emotion on his face that isn't a smile when he's playing, is after he's done that brilliantly shot shootout at the hotel. By the way, I really liked the way that was shot with all the flickering.
It reminded
lights.
me a bit of like Fargo.
Fargo, yeah. Was when he's sitting in that car and it's like, man, you're on your way back to her and you can see it. It's like, he knows. It's like, I can't have that life. A Hollywood film would have you have that ending, perhaps. A typical, not the kind of Hollywood films that we like. But it would have him going back to her, and he's pulled over and he's like, I can't. I've just done this horrifically brutal thing.
He knows he can never really escape that.
Yeah.
That is that whole thing of like, he goes, if I want this life, I have to have it in like death.
Yeah, he had to go. He lives by the gun. He dies by the gun. It's very. I thought it was very beautiful.
When I finished this film, I was like, I don't really understand what I was trying to say, and it totally, you absolutely are nailing it, right? Because it totally makes sense with what he's trying to say. But I just really feel if I could never watch it again. Like I don't think the film is interesting enough to want to revisit it again.
Maybe in a couple of years I would, but I'm not going to rush around to watch it again.
What he's trying to say is better than actually watching it, I think.
I can see that. I could see that. Yeah, that someone might have that take. For sure.
I'm that someone.
If you don't enjoy, but that's okay. I did like. Here's the funny thing: is that I did really want to. I was really looking forward to watching it again after having watched Boiling Point and Thingy and Violent Cop, because I wanted to see what the
if you take more from it.
Yeah, because it felt still mysterious. Because it's a strange film. You can't just watch it and go, well, I know what that's about, and that's it. It like invites you back. I feel it. Even now, I can feel it calling to me to like revisit it and see how you feel about this. You know, there's something to the tapestry of it in all of these scenes. It's like you will get something else from this, like the scene of them in the holes. So the first time I watched it, I thought, oh, it's just playful boys being boys. It's like regress to childhood. The second time I watched it, knowing everything that comes in the film, I was like, do these holes represent, even though it's kind of played for laughs and they're laughing about it, do these holes represent the fact that it's a trap for all of them? They're walking along, going about their life, and then down they go, just like they're all going to get gunned down eventually by the Yakuza because of the life that they live in. They fall into the trap. And her at the end, when we see her at the end on the beach walking along and she falls into a trap, it's like, this is what's going to happen to her if he goes with her, if he wants to escape with her, because he will not escape that old life. He's made these holes for these people. They're all going to fall into them. People are doomed if they're around him. And one other thing to say that I thought about when I was watching this, and I thought, I wonder how Paul will think about this, is the way that people reacted to things in this, like standing by, just watching, etc. Reminded me of Yorgos Lanthimos, but in this handled in a way that I could appreciate, because I got the point as to why they were that way, because it's meant to be saying they're so cold and distant from these situations because they're involved in this life.
Yeah, I can kind of get that, but to me it just came across as badly acted rather than that awkward kind of acting.
Poor Takeshi, man. Poor Takeshi.
Like it felt to me like it was people waiting for their cue to be shot.
Oh, I see what you say. But I thought, for me, that was stylization. That wasn't them actually just standing there waiting for the guns to go off. For me, that was like stylized now.
Clearly, but for me, it just kept. I don't like that. It don't come across well for me.
Well, I liked it, and like, you know, when the fisherman shot the guy on the beach, and they're both sitting there by the boat. I liked that on several levels, because I liked that it kind of implied that the fishermen didn't know they were there and they were just being completely still.
Yeah.
So that he didn't kill them. But I also liked that it went from them smiling and laughing and having fun to, well, particularly him, sat there resigned to, inevitably, this is what my life is.
See,
so
to me,
I'm not shocked.
I just look at the woman and be like, why are you not reacting? Because someone's just been shot in front of you.
I know, but if she had been screaming and all of that, that wouldn't have helped the scene, would it?
I know, of course. But I mean, like, to me, she would have been a little bit scared at least.
Well, I think it was more, you know, in the visual interpretation of it rather than a literal interpretation.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I think that's what didn't do it for me.
Yes, I get that.
Yeah. Tell me a story, man. Tell me a story. That's I don't want insignificance. I want you to tell me the story.
But see, the funny thing is, there is a story there, right?
But the story is after you've watched it.
Well, you're finding out things as the film goes on, rather than, like, I guess another way of telling this story would have been while they were at the beach, you cut back to not Tokyo, wherever that is, the opening place, and the boss man is telling 90s guy with the tie, right, we need to send the assassins down there now. We need to wipe them out. We've struck a deal with the Anans. So you find out ahead of time. So then you've got that ticking clock going on while the rest of them are at the beach. So you're like, oh shit, this is their plan.
Yeah.
But rather they went the route of, you're just going to find stuff out. And I kind of liked it. I like that. That's what I liked, was that it was meandering. It was like these Yakuza. It's because they're Yakuza. If they were just normal people, then I'd be like, why do I give a shit? But it's like, because they're these Yakuza who are typically meant to be in these violent interactions and settings and encounters, the fact that they're forced to twiddle their thumbs essentially for the majority of the movie and come up with their own entertainment was very interesting. Yeah. I found it to be very endearing.
Muy caliente.
Well, I'm sorry that it didn't provoke more of a thing from you both.
I enjoyed it. I very much enjoyed it, and it's a film I probably wouldn't have watched anyway.
No, I certainly wouldn't have.
And I enjoyed its charm and its different take on life.
Do you have anything to say about that wonderful music? The score, the Sonatine theme.
Oh, the score was good. Yeah, I like the score.
Very much like that.
It sounded very familiar.
Yeah, it did. I was about to say that.
It did.
Oh, what was it?
I don't know if it's someone sampled it or something like that.
I need to hear it.
It's funny you should say that, because in Violent Cop there is a recurring theme in that, and I was like, what fucking film do I know this from? And I could not place it. I still can't. It's like he's reused a different theme and put his own style on it.
Let me just hear this right now. It reminds me of Exorcist.
The tubular bells. It's a hint of scary, a hint of 80s, hint of nostalgia. It feels very sad. Like the whole Sonatine experience for me is kind of like melancholy. It feels like an emotion. The film is an emotion, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely, yeah.
And I liked that we were seeing that just these jarring things. We were seeing violent acts, and then we were seeing these silly things contrasted with them. Paul is very unimpressed with this one. I can tell you're giving it no grace.
The only thing with this film is if it doesn't do anything for you, there's not really loads to talk about in the first place. I don't think it
is the slightly. It's not a surreal film actually, but it is slightly surreal. Slightly, is the surreal nature of it the off-putting aspects? Like if it was all more logical as to why things were happening.
I wouldn't call it surreal. I don't think I'd call it surreal. It is just watching or just looking at like a piece of artwork where it's just trying to express, as you say, an emotion, and it is just that like the polarizing opposites between playing frisbee on a beach and being a stone cold killer yakuza.
Yeah,
and it's just that whole film is just like projecting that kind of contrast.
Yeah, which either works or it doesn't, I suppose.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it's not really. I wouldn't say it's surreal. It's just like watching the deleted scenes from a film. For me, where it's just loads of things just stuck together, and you're kind of getting what it's doing, but you can't really get the full grasp of it.
Yes. Well, yes, I suppose so.
But that's me, man.
Yeah. But, and I can't remember what films we've said it before. We said it about something before where it was like, if the film doesn't do enough to make you want to... Yeah, Tenet. If you don't care enough about the film in the first instance, then there's nothing that's going to make you want to try and work out how this fits or what that means and why.
Yeah.
What it's saying. It's the same thing with this. Like so for example, I take to this over Tenet. So this is a far superior film than Tenet.
I mean, yeah, they're completely different.
Completely different, but this is a film that I want to return to. I want to understand. I want to soak in the atmosphere of it a little bit to get a feel for it. And obviously, there's many films that there's great films that aren't that way, and that's fine. But sometimes I want to have a little of this. Copland is the antithesis of this, but that's an incredible film, and everything is all spelled out. And you understand what all of it is. Whereas this is less so, and it's more about how do you resonate with it? What does it mean to you? A bit like art, I guess, but not in a wanky, pretentious way. Like, I want to break down the barriers that is what these sorts of films can be. I don't mean it in a pretentious way. I just mean anyone can just fucking.
If we're going to compare it to like films we've done, that's positive in my direction. Would be like Melancholia or Persona.
Oh yeah.
Where they are very like they're conveying a little bit surreal. They're conveying like an emotion pretty much, and it's just whether you want to read into that or not.
A Melancholia Sonatine double bill would be very good. Yeah.
Be a long day, but yeah. Did your rating of it change after watching the others?
No.
Did it change?
I was interested as to whether it would, but it did not.
If you did think it was going to change, which way did you reckon it was going to go?
Up. I never thought it would go down.
Okay.
So that's a little spoiler as to what it might be.
I kind of guess where it is.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. But all this to say, it has an incredible amount of interesting scenes and scenarios and juxtapositions in there, but if you want to come to it for story, you're probably going to be a little disappointed.
I think I will remember parts of this film rather than the whole film, and you also might think they're different films in some ways.
Yeah,
you can almost think, that was that film. They were both that film.
See, the thing that's the thing that's interesting is how, like, do you think you're meant to like him?
I think you meant to take to him a little bit.
I think you meant to warm to him, but I don't think you meant to like him.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of liked his gang a bit more.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like a bit like I kind of took to them a bit more than I did.
Well, they were less crazy than him because they weren't actually... Well, even though he wasn't playing Russian roulette with real bullets, but...
I think it's more... From the off, you're not supposed to really gel with him. But as the film goes on, you see he's like kind of given into his warmer side. But that warmer side is still like tinged with a like hint of violence in everything he does. So like he wants to play them on the beach, but he's playing Russian roulette.
Yeah.
And they instantly think, oh, that's a bit weird. But he's just trying to like live a normal life kind of thing.
Even before he gets to them, I'm like, these people are fucking lunatics, man. Shooting a can off someone's head.
I know, yeah.
Fuck that. Never. I'd be
just
like, careful.
Past my ear, he said.
I know. The scene that I thought was interesting is when that guy is about to rape her on the beach at night, and Murakawa is just watching at first, and then he just is casually walking by, almost like he isn't even going to intervene. He only intervenes or responds when that guy challenges him, then he kills him. But it's almost like he was about to walk past that, which made me think, it's not about whether we like him or not. It's just going to show that this guy, he's not moral. He's not going to he's not like, oh yeah, there's a rape happening, I'm going to stop it. He's just like, yep, violence and terrible shit exists. This is the world I live in. Oh, but now this guy's coming in my face, I'll have to kill him. So he did it because the guy came in his face, not because he wanted to be any sort of saviour in that situation.
Yeah.
And then blame the woman. Said that she killed him.
Yeah. So like, why did he do that?
Yeah, he had no reason to.
See, that's interesting. Why did he say it was the woman? And also, these are the things that I think would reward repeat viewing. You know, when he's driving in the car with her, and she's like, yeah, this was my husband's car. He crashes the car. And then they go back to the house and get the other car to pick the car up.
It's all very strange.
Yeah.
It's all very strange.
But in a very intriguing way, I would say.
I don't know. It doesn't intrigue me. I don't care to like want to like try and unpick the threads.
That's
I mean, there's a lot in this film that you've just got to accept that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, I know, but we know that there is something. So Takeshi Kitano, if he was here on this podcast right now, do you think he would go, it doesn't really make sense, so just don't think about it? He would have had a reason. I can't believe he turned up on set and was like, right, so I'm just going to, in this scene, we're going to talk and I'm going to crash the car and then we'll just go back and get another car to come and drop us back off at this car so we can drive off in it again. It
just sounds so insignificant, doesn't it? It's like, what? This is like the fucking deleted scene. It's like, you don't need that in the film.
I know, but I know. It all adds to the rich tapestry of it.
Again, I feel like if you don't warm with it, everything it does is going to be a little more irritating.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Did you, when they arrived in Okinawa and they get in that little van and that guy's like, yeah, welcome, we've got some drinks and some ice creams here if you'd like. What did you think when that line was said?
No, so this is just weird. Like, why are these Yakuzas getting on a bus, number one?
Well, yeah, exactly. But that's
why
they're
not getting in, like, their own cars, like, nice cars?
I know, but that was like, well, this is great. This is absurd. These fucking Yakuza have come to find one of these clans and they're being bundled into the back of essentially a minivan. And they're like, yeah, we got drinks and ice cream for you. Yeah. That's fucking funny.
That's that tinge of the polar opposites of normal life with Yakuza life.
Yes.
It's all right. It's all right. I know. I can understand why you like it.
And I liked it when the leader of that gang was dancing around doing the women's dance as well. The first night on the beach and
with the clappers.
And Murakawa's just sitting there and he's like just not even looking. Everyone else is sort of like smiling and enjoying it, and Murakawa's just staring down at the floor, looking in a complete other direction.
I think half of it is as well coming to it thinking, okay, I'm about to watch a 90s Yakuza film, right?
Yes.
Probably highly violent, which it is at times.
Yeah.
But I've only seen this now afterwards, but people said it's the Yakuza Goodfellas. It's like, this is not. Who are you saying this is the Goodfellas? Who is saying this is the Goodfellas?
It's more of a Carlito's Way, in a way that you're seeing the other side of it rather than the violent side of it.
Bad publicity, that is.
If you thought this is the Goodfellas, if Ben said we're going to watch the Yakuza Goodfellas and we watch this, I'll be a bit more.
Well,
yeah, I'm not. I wasn't going in expect. I didn't know what it was going to be at all. So, but I'm just saying.
Sorry,
I saw that
why
afterwards.
are you connecting it to Goodfellas?
That was on the poster.
What did it say on the poster? Sorry,
it said. I'll find out exactly. One sec.
It must have just been Yakuza. The Goodfellas are big then.
So it's on the. It looks like it's on a VHS cover, and it's Quentin Tarantino is promoting it, and it says strongly reminiscent of Goodfellas.
Tarantino says that.
So Tarantino was responsible for its US release. Tarantino fucking loves this film.
I don't think it was Tarantino who said it though.
Rolling Stones Productions was like this short-lived production label that Tarantino had, and he was bringing largely like a lot of stuff internationally over. And this was one of those films I highly recommend. If you get a chance, go on YouTube and search for Quentin Tarantino Sonatine, and it shows you the introduction and then the outro that he did on the VHS release of this film. And it just makes me think, fuck man, Tarantino, it's not that you've changed. Obviously everyone changes, but the way you are here is so pure. It's just pure love of cinema. And you're the kind of man I want to go and sit with and drink and talk film for hours. But nowadays, I don't think you'd be in that same way. He was very fresh-faced.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure the love's still there.
Anyway, look, it is how it is. I would say, based on what you two have said, that you probably won't like Boiling Point, the middle trilogy film.
This is the last one, isn't it?
This is the last one. Boiling Point is, I feel like, the most kind of aimless and sort of like, I don't get why I should care about this, and I don't really get why these things are happening, but it's still okay. But Violent Cop is worth a punt, I would say, because it's a straightforward story. It has a plot, but it's still all three. The things that are similar across all three are pacing, long shots, violence happens like bang and then off. Not like violence sparingly. Is never sort of glorified. That's what I liked about it in this film as well. Whenever there was violence, it wasn't like, and now you're here to enjoy it. It was like violence is just another thing that happens, just like cooking a meal, and then and then we move on. Yeah.
Interesting. Maybe in the future when I get this taste of this out of my mouth.
Well, I tell you, I'm sad about it. I thought that you might like it. There you go. But Kitano, I would like to see much more of him now. And here's a bit of interesting trivia for you both. After this film, he was in a massive motorcycle crash. And he was in intensive care for a couple of months. And when he came out of it, he's paralysed. Half of his face is paralysed. But he has said it was an unconscious suicide attempt.
What?
And so he made Sonatine about a man who was unhappy and then committed suicide. And then he tried to kill himself on his motorbike.
Wow.
So there's a little bit of biographical
reality
in there. Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, you know what? The funny thing is about this episode is I think we're not going to get many listeners because I don't think a lot of people have seen it. But ironically, this is kind of the platform to tell people, I think you should go and see it. So if you haven't seen it, despite us talking about all of that stuff, I really hope you go and watch it because it is an experience. And I'm very happy that I picked it because it's very different to anything that I normally watch.
Definitely.
It's those films you only really watch because of this.
Yeah. And there you go. That's it for Sonatine, I suppose. Unless you've got some other stuff.
No, I'm happy to go to the ratings if you want to go to the ratings.
let's go to the ratings. We'll do it in order as we open things up. So, Adam, what's your rating?
I give this film a classic staple 7 out of 10.
7. Damning with faint praise, 7. There you go. Well, the first time I watched it, it was an 8. Second time I watched it, it was an 8. But a more assured 8. It was a bit more assured.
So you've watched all 3 now as well. Where would you put it?
It's the best of the 3. But Violent Cop is very... It was touch and go. Basically, when I watched Violent Cop, I preferred it to Sonatine. But then when I watched Sonatine the second time, Sonatine went top. Because it was more of a journey. Sonatine is the most mature out of the 3 films.
Okay.
Interesting.
As in, it's saying something a little bit more
profound.
profound.
I feel that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, this film, it gets exactly the same score as Manhattan Murder Mystery, because I give this a 5 out of 10.
5. Fucking hell. Exactly the same as Manhattan Murder Mystery. God. Well, Paul, hang on a minute. Why is 1993 dividing everyone so much? Why are we giving low scores to films in 1993?
Well.
Interesting. I'm glad that we're hitting films that we're not all aligned on.
Finally.
So that means, listeners...
It's a 6.7.
It's a 6.7. Shall we just do it live?
Yeah, there's not many. There's only 3 6.7s.
Okay, so, well, we know what it is for Paul. Adam, better or worse than Martyrs?
This is better than Martyrs.
Yes, it's better than Martyrs. Manhattan Murder Mystery, it's better than that for me.
Yeah.
Candyman, it's better than that for me.
Yeah.
Glass, it's not better than Glass for me.
It doesn't. It's not on Glass anyway. 6.8.
Oh, yeah, of course. Okay, so it's top of the 6.7s. So, there we go. It is positioned with Glass above it, Candyman below it, and it sits very close to Manhattan Murder Mystery. The two 1993 films are like buddies in the list. I wonder if that's going to be the case for some of the other 93s.
It felt like that was the case for the 1987s. They were all very grouped together up in the
high
8s, it looks like.
That's true. So far, 93 is off to a slower start than the previous years. I feel bad for Takeshi.
Do you want to remind the listeners what we're doing next week?
Yes, you better.
Because I've forgotten a bit.
What's our next journey in 1993? It's
your film.
It's my pick. It is our first Van Damme film. We're doing Hard Target.
That's the film.
Hard Target.
This is all very... Is it... It's not really, though. Manhattan Murder Mystery is not masculine. I feel like it's all masculine. No. But it's not.
This is a diverse one. Well, when we get to the end of 93, we'll be able to see what the common theme is. I don't think we can predict it at this stage.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially as I decided to go foreign. That threw a spanner in the works.
Yeah.
Because what's going on in Japan is not what's going on in America.
Yeah, for sure.
Thematically.
Well, I'm glad I watched it. It's definitely an experience. It's definitely very original.
Yes.
And something different. And just won't be watching anymore. Maybe Violent Cop one day.
It's just to put one final word in there. I can get it. Like there were times when I was not frustrated, but like, what's the point of this? You know, that's how I was feeling at some point. I was like, well, this is pointless. Why am I
That's
seeing
what I get
this?
when you don't like it.
Yeah, but then it comes together. You know when you listen to an album, your favorite band, and then there's 4 songs that immediately you love. You're like, this is great. And then there's 4 songs you don't like really, and there's 4 songs in the middle. Those 4 songs you don't like in a year or 2 years' time are the ones, for me anyway, that you end up listening to the most because they're the most intriguing, because they're inaccessible from the off. And it's like, well, I haven't resonated with this right away, so no. Yeah. But because it's part of an album, you always have to hear it when you're playing through the album. And because you get that extra exposure, you're like, actually. And I think with something like Sonatine, if it can do enough, and if it doesn't, that's it. It's the film's fault as far as you're concerned. But if it can do enough to just wheedle its way enough into your brain to make you go, there's an itch there I want to scratch, then I think it will reward you.
That's what it did for me for Titane. That's what it did for me for Melancholia. And it was slightly for Persona.
There you go. And because all of our listeners are terrible people, not one of them has left us a review of Sonatine.
No. No one wants to say what they've thought, so
No.
I guess we just move on.
I'll be leaving the podcast then.
Goodbye.
Since my films don't get picked, don't get no love.
It's the obscurity of it, I'm sure.
Yes, well, I wish all of our listeners would obscure themselves and disappear forever.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
One of them
They deserved it. They deserved it.
Yeah, you idiots.
Right, shall we move on to what our patrons have to say this week?
Well, I can't be bothered to hear from them. Yes.
Well, just so they get their money's worth.
Let's hear from them. Yep.
Right, yes, we have our patrons sending in what they've been watching this week, the good and the bad, and we're going to talk about it. So first of all, we got Luke Human, and he's talking about Lake Mungo. He said there's a hell of a lot of craft here that is so cleverly presented that it goes almost unnoticed. Performances by the unknown cast, at least here in the UK, bolster the overall effect, and this could easily pass for truth for those who are unwarned. Fascinating, moving, and dreadful. We are talked through a compelling story with believable characters. Lake Mungo is yet another example of the disproportionate level of quality in Australian filmmaking. He's literally just gone into our heads and started talking about a film that transcends film and actually feels like a little bit of reality.
Yeah, which is what we talk about in our Patreon.
Was that in our Patreon or was it in this episode?
No, it's our Patreon.
We speak about this in our Patreon, guys.
Yeah. It's very strange. He got completely into our heads.
Has anyone watched Lake Mungo?
No, but I have heard about it. I don't know why.
It's on my watch list. It's been on there for a while. Didn't know it was Australian though.
No.
I swear it's somebody else has mentioned it before.
Yeah, I feel like someone's mentioned Lake Mungo before.
Maybe Jamie's mentioned it.
Well, it's intrigue. It's intriguing.
It's intrigue. He also says, not so great was 2017's The Neighbour. Not only did they spell the title incorrectly, but containing awkward echoes of American Beauty, this story of midlife crisis promises much, but never really leans into a meaningful direction. Kept interesting only by a terrific performance by William Fichtner. Who's that?
The name seems familiar, but I don't know who it is.
He says, a rare chance as lead, this supposed thriller wastes a really interesting central character with an obvious narrative.
William Fichtner is from The Dark Knight, and he is the bank manager who gets robbed at the beginning.
Oh.
Who goes, what are you stand for?
You don't know who you're messing with?
Yeah. And he's in many other things other than that, but that's the main thing that I thought of.
Prison Break.
Yeah, as I don't know who, but yes. Mahoney?
No, Mahoney is from Batman.
No.
But he's Mahone in Prison Break, I'm pretty sure.
Echoes of American Beauty.
Oh no, I'm Mahoney. It's Maroney in Batman. You said Mahoney, it confused me. Maroney, and he's Mahone in Prison Break.
Well, there you go.
Well, we won't be watching that because it hasn't got a U in Neighbour.
No,
yes.
Exactly.
Next up, we have a little note here from Katie and Oti. They said, we watched a 4-part BBC series called Rules of the Game, which focuses on the power imbalance and casual abuse and harassment of women, young girls, in corporate workplaces. Though many of the characters are frustrated in their lack of moral fibre, that's kind of the point, and we overall really enjoyed it. Beware, it's our word against the low ratings. LOL. LOL.
It's a low rated. I want to see how low rate it is now. It must be low if they're actually mentioning it. Rules of the Game.
I've never heard of it. And it's an English show as well.
So it's not a documentary?
6.1.
It's a documentary series. What is it, documentary series?
It's got Maxine Peake in it. It's I recognise
so
her.
it's a performance thing.
Yeah. 6.1. It's pretty standard for an average TV show.
Yeah, speaking of things about abuse and harassment of women, for those of you in the UK, I strongly recommend that you watch the documentary on Tim Westwood, which you can find on BBC Three, which came out today. I can't go too much into it, but I have a very vested interest in making sure this gets out to as many people as possible. So, see it, share it, and destroy the man. Destroy the fucking cunt, is what I say.
There we go. You said it. That word doesn't come out for many things.
No. Well, to be fair, it does. Well, thank you, Katie and OT. And finally, we will hear from patron Julio. Julio! And he says, listen, I'm not going to talk trash about the Batman on the eve of Paul's nuptials. I'll just say it wasn't for me. Julio, at Paul's stag do, you were the topic of the conversation for a few minutes as we discussed the star rating that you gave it, sir.
Mm-hmm. He revealed it to me, so you intentionally ruined my stag do.
Oh, Julio.
Yeah.
Yes, he did on your actual day.
I was sad for the whole day.
YouTube can thrash that out at some point. On the positive side, I watched Idiot Box, a 90s Australian movie featuring a young Ben Mendelsohn, our boy Ben. It took a little while to hook me, but it built up to a nice little climax. Think slacker heist, but more slacking than heisting. I'm sold with Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah, we love a bit of Ben Mendelsohn.
We do. We got look. Luke watched an Australian film, then two Australians suggested something, and then Julio suggested an Australian film. It's the Australian week.
It's the Australian week.
G'day, mate. As your sister. Come on, talk.
Put another shrimp on a barbie. What are you going to say, Adam?
This is just going to get offensive.
Come on, do an accent, Adam.
Crikey, it's a crock. I don't know.
Listen, you bloody galah. Why don't you get off your thingy and get some tucker?
That's not a knife. This is a knife.
He's a pretend Australian. He can jump in the drink, as far as I'm concerned.
No, I've never seen that film.
Crocodile
Dundee.
It's not impressive. Came out the year I was born, though.
Aww.
So old.
Not as good as Howard the Duck, though.
No.
Anyway, thank you, patrons.
Yeah. Tangential conversations we have. We let our patrons say something and then we just completely dismiss and just talk about other shit.
That's what they pay for.
That's what they pay for. We love you. Thanks for all of those recommendations. I always add the shit to my watch list. Here's something that I want us to find a way of getting Letterboxd to do this. Mm-hmm. When you add items to your watch list, the option to add a note that says why. Because what I want to do is...
Yeah.
Why is this in my watch list? Oh, right. Paul recommended that. Why do I want to watch this? Oh, this Quentin Tarantino spoke about it on some documentary.
I know how you can do it.
Why don't allow that? Huh?
Well, actually, that's not going to do it if you want it very specific, saying Quentin Tarantino mentioned on a documentary. I was going to say you could add it to a list so it says like Julio's patron recommendations.
Oh, I know, but I have so many. There's so many different reasons why I have a thing. That's too much.
Well, that's down to you, mate. Sorry.
No, but because there's many different. There's people or things and stuff. It's a little thing, and I don't know why they don't do it. Because what I would like is to watch a film that's been on a watch list for a while, and then if the person is real, return to the person in the real world and go, oh, you mentioned this. This is what I thought of it.
Do we have anything else to say?
The best of everything. That's what I wish for you.
Right, that is Sonatine, everyone. Thank you, Ben, for bringing that to the podcast. That's another film.
Don't thank me. I've done nothing for you.
You did nothing for me, but you did something for
Yes.
Adam
And maybe some of the listeners as well.
A 7 out of 10, if that's something.
I wanted to help everyone, and I've done nothing.
You only helped yourself, mate.
Sadly.
But let's see who we can help next week with my pick, which is Hard Target. Hopefully we get a lot more comments this time.
Why does Paul only pick films this year that are hard? Hard Ticket? Hard Target?
What was the middle one?
Oh, Copland doesn't really work.
He had his letterbox accidentally stuck on the letter H, and he couldn't work out how to get off it.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it. I could have done. Maybe we could do Hard Candy when that comes up.
Hard
what
Candy.
Hard films are there?
Yes.
Hard.
What other films are hard?
Hard. Get Hard. Never seen that film in my life.
Tom Hardy films.
Oh no, that's not very good.
The Hardy Boys documentary.
All right, I'm going, lads. I've had enough of you.
Harder They Fall.
Oh yeah, good one.
Hard Luck Harry. I don't know what that is. I made that one up. Sounds like a kid's book.
Did you say Get Hard Harry?
Hard Luck.
Well, that says a porn film. Are you just adding hard to films now?
Yep.
I am. So, Adam, get thinking about your 1993 film, which you'll be revealing next week.
Yes.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that, listeners. I know that it wasn't a nice film for everyone.
Well, it might have been a nice film for everyone. We don't know. It wasn't a nice film for me, but it could have been a nice film for everyone else.
This is one of those episodes that separates the casual fan from the
absolutely
dedicated.
Yes. And especially if they make it to this point as well.
Hi, I'm Quentin Tarantino, and welcome to the outro for Sonatine. Now, let me describe a little bit about the man you just saw, Beat Takashi, about his career, kind of catch you up to date with Sonatine. Beat Takashi is a very successful actor in Japan, but he was primarily known as a comedian. One thing you need to know about the Japanese Yakuza film is it's a long-standing genre in Japan. The Yakuza or Yakuza is the Japanese equivalent of the mob. The Yakuza films changed drastically in the early 70s when the director Kenji Fukasaku, who did the film Black Lizard, which you might have seen, and he also directed the Japanese segments of Tora Tora Tora, best segments in the movie, did a Yakuza film called Fight Without Jingi. Now, the word jingi is a very special word in Japanese. There actually isn't an American equivalent for it. The closest equivalent would be honor, but jingi is something more than that. It's like a higher place of honor. Honor just doesn't quite cover it. Now, Kenji Fukasaku's film Fight Without Jingi set off a different style of Yakuza film. You know, there is no sentimentality about it. It was all rough, and it was all harsh, and it was all just violent, and, you know, there was no romanticism about it at all right? And that's created an entirely new wave of Yakuza films that pretty much kind of stands to this day. Which brings us now to what Beat Takashi did with them when he did Sonatine. Basically, something has happened in Japan where the main movie-going audience who decides to see a film is the women, either the wife or the girlfriend, which actually is not too different from the way it used to be in America in the 30s and 40s. I've heard Orson Welles talk about that it was, you know, it was the woman at home reading Film Fun and everything and saying, hey, let's go see the new Tyrone Power movie. And they were the ones that kind of picked the movie, and the husband and boyfriend kind of just went along. Well, that's the case that exists right now in Japan. So the Yakuza films haven't been doing well, and the samurai films haven't been doing well. What does well there is stuff like Milo and Otis, and you know, dog pictures do really well there, and any kind of romantic kind of thing. It has, I mean, literally, when they release a film in Japan, it has to be geared towards a female audience. Like the way things have to be geared towards a 19-year-old audience in America, they has to be geared toward a female audience. So even if there's like a tiny little bit of romance in a movie, it'll be a big thing on the poster of, you know, looks like Gone with the Wind. So in this environment, Beat Takashi came out with these 3 cut your head off films of full-on brutality, all right, which was, you know, kind of blew everyone's mind, all right? And oddly enough, you know, actually, maybe not oddly enough, these films actually didn't do that well in Japan. They got a tremendous amount of press. He was extremely, he was, you know, taken as one of the most exciting directors to emerge in Japan in the last decade. But box office-wise, they only did okay. It was the first film I had seen since I had been doing my take on gangster pictures that I was like, oh wow, this guy's kind of after the same thing I'm after. Now, if you saw the Chungking Express video, I said something like that about Wong Kar-wai, but it was more like about where Wong Kar-wai is coming from as far as his style and his, I don't know, je ne sais quoi. But as far as with Beat Takashi, it truly is. He's actually kind of going down the exact same road I'm going in his own Japanese Beat Takashi way. And it's like, it's his, and he's much more of a minimalist than I am, which is, again, one of the things I love about his work. And just the whole scene with the Russian roulette scene is one of the most funny and surprisingly shocking scenes I've ever seen. I think that's a true masterpiece scene. But this was just like a bracing bucket of cold water in the face of the Japanese film industry and Yakuza films, and the critics loved it. So the film's played all over the world, has gotten all kinds of acclaim. Beat Takashi is actually the first Japanese filmmaker in maybe a decade to kind of make a big break from Japan onto the world film scene, and so we were just really proud to finally get it. So you can actually see it here in America, with the right subtitles, and we're just real proud of it. Also, one of the interesting thing is Beat Takashi is such a star in Japan that he was cast as one of the bad guys in the film Johnny Mnemonic with Keanu Reeves. But some Japanese money went into the making of Johnny Mnemonic. And so one of the things about it was they said, okay, we're going to put some money in the film, but you have to film 15 more additional minutes with Beat Takashi for the Japanese market. So if you see like a Japanese import of Johnny Mnemonic and everything, it's like there's going to be a lot more Beat Takashi scenes because he's so famous there, which I get a big kick out of. I still haven't seen that cut of that from him, so I'd like to see that someday. So that is it for this edition of Rolling Thunder Video. I hope you enjoyed Sonatine. And the next film we've got coming out after this is a blaxploitation film from the mid-'70s called Detroit 9000, which the ad line in the newspapers when it came out was filmed in the murder capital of the USA, Detroit, Michigan. And it stars Harry Rhodes and Alex Rocco and Vanetta McGee, and is directed by Arthur Marks, who part of such terrific films as Monkey Hustle and Bucktown. So, anyway, until next time, with Detroit 9000, this is Quentin Tarantino, and thanking you for watching Rolling Thunder Video.